Compulsory land acquisition is the powers of the government to possess or acquire private property for public use or in the interest of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, or public health. Public use means use of the land by the government for the benefit of the public for infrastructure and public works, including roads, railway lines, airports, hospitals, power lines, water pipelines, fiber cables, and schools.
To the extreme west of Bunyoro, in the district of Hoima, on the shores of Lake Albert, is a village called Kaiso. For a long time, this village was one of those places that are unknown, unheard of, and literally invisible on the map of Uganda. But that is history now. Kaiso is part of the Great Albertine Graben, a region with vast quantities of oil beneath the ground.
There is growing interest in Africa, reflected in intense competition between old and new powers. The terms of engagement over Africa are rapidly changing. One result is the rapid growth of infrastructural development.
When we look at our Vision 2040, there are very key government infrastructure projects under the flagships where there is need to access land for developments of these projects, like for roads, power transmissions, power generations, the industrial parks, the businesses in the Albertine Graben.
Evas Birunje is a resident of Kaiso. She has lived here for over 15 years. She says she lived a simple and stable life before the arrival of oil prospectors.
Nkaba ndi kurungi nyina nakaduka kange nitunda na buli kimu kyona nyina ninsubura nencho buli kintu kyona ndi kurungi baito kurugonya kwasirwe engudo enjwe kachiweko omundo gonzo genzo kaleba yo kiri kina ndi hansi hatiti sana kurugaho tinkingo rugitirwe kinga kandi obo nyina abana bakusoma nyina abana Hoima bakusoma abana basatu.
It was 2013 that the construction of the Kaiso-Tonya Tarmac Road began, and to many villagers, it was a blessing.
Here, in Kihoro village and other places like Kaiso and others, we had no road. We had no hospitals and so on. We used to carry people when somebody is getting a sick person. We used to carry him on this what was called blanket to take him up the escarpment, and you get a vehicle to take him or to take her to the hospital in Hoima.
What many people were not aware of was the disruption the road construction would cause. Families were displaced to construct the Kaiso-Tonya Road leading to oil wells. But the manner in which it was done created problems.
Ekyo kusaso bagambire kujja kutema oruguudo bakataha buhyake enju yange. Nyabagambe kandi kamutahire enju yange nyabemereza bayendaga kundabya mumbe katapira. Nyamugamba kamutahire enju yange bangamba tugenda kusasura. Nkalindiro musajja mujungwa yabaira aroho na inura baije babazeho na nyowe batasobole kuija. Obunyabahambiza bangamba tugenda kusasura mukazi we bairo tekaine.
Evas had to hand over her land before receiving any compensation. But that is not the only problem. She also has issues with the payment she eventually received.
Inura ekaija. Bapime enguudo. Banchwa ekichoka kya ploti nenju yange yabaire kali erinke duka. Baitu obangambire kunsasura bakabani banihize milioni musanju. Kyonko mubwire bwokuhika mu office zabo genda kutunga kibaruha genda kuhika agenda hananka banka kasanga milioni 3. Ha milioni 3 nkatunga milioni 2 n'emitwalo 8.
At a loss of what to do, Evers contacted her friend Asumani Irumba for help.
It caused some people to do what? To get annoyed. Some people, the land and the house, they were paid 7,000. Like Betty Bagadra was paid 7,000 at first. And some people were paid 20,000, 20-something, 30-something. Nobody was paid 200, more than 200. But when we complained, then they increased the money even. The one who received 7,000, at first they gave her 800,000. Then she went ahead complaining. They gave her 1 point something. So we are asking by ourselves, why are these people getting the money?
The delayed payments, the lack of transparency, and the shifting positions on payments made Asuman, Evers, and other project-affected people wonder if money meant for their compensation was in fact being stolen, something not altogether uncommon.
Our leaders are rapidly losing interest in small projects, so much so that we seem to be making a fetish of big ones. Rather, a single hospital costing $500 million, when half that money can build viable health centers in every district in the country. Our leaders have learned that the bigger a project, the larger the cut.
These problems of discrepancy between expected compensation and payments received culminated in a public litigation case that put Kaiso Tonya prominently on the map of Uganda. Asumani Irumba and 115 petitioners, together with Peter Magela, a human rights lawyer, took government to court.
People's land were taken, and the land government has not paid up to now, some of them, but the road is there. And we challenged that because as a peasant farmer who depends all his life on land, government taking that land and constructing a road virtually makes this peasant homeless and has no means of livelihood. And so it would be important that this farmer is paid his money to go and look for more land before the road construction begins.
The Constitutional Court found the Land Acquisition Act 1965, which government followed in getting possession of Kaiso Tonya lands, unconstitutional. The Supreme Court upheld the ruling. Prior to this ruling, the government was following two contradicting laws on compulsory land acquisition. One was the Land Acquisition Act 1965. The other was Article 26 of the 1995 Constitution. Here is the key difference between the two. Under the Land Acquisition Act of 1965, government could acquire land for public interest before paying for the land. Under Article 26 of the 1995 Constitution, government may only take possession of land for public interest after paying for it. The Supreme Court found the Land Acquisition Act 1965 unconstitutional insofar as it does not provide for prompt payment of fair and adequate compensation before taking possession of any property by the state.
We are here today to give you a brief on the government plan to amend the Land Acquisition Act. As you are aware, in 2017, government submitted the Constitutional Amendment Bill before Parliament. The Constitutional Amendment Bill was to amend Article 26 of the Constitution to facilitate timely acquisition of land for government projects like roads, railways, defense, health, and other social services.
The Constitutional Amendment Bill was rejected by Parliament. Now government is proposing amendments to the Land Acquisition Act 1965.
The bill has been concluded by the ministry, and we have now started consultation. Our first consultation was in Hoima. We have been in Karamoja, and with the support of the Japan Embassy and partnership with civil society, the ministry, together with LandNet, has organized a national dialogue.
The village of Kaiso is now linked to Hoima with a tarmac road, reducing the travel time from 3 hours to only 1 hour. The villagers love it. But for Asumani Irumba, Ivas Birungi, and the other 114 petitioners whose compensation cases are still in court 6 years on, the road is also a symbol of an injustice.
I don't know why they have not paid us. That's why we have gone back to court. We want to know why we are not paid. And we have already won the case. They said they should pay us. But still now, then we want to know what is going on. Are we not going to be paid, or we are going to be paid?
It is now 4 years since the ruling of the Supreme Court, when government lost its power to possess and use land before compensation. One of the unintended consequences of the ruling is the stalling of infrastructural projects as government negotiates with landowners for possession of land.
We have a case, for example, I will withhold the name, a particular project affected person around the interchange or the roundabout of Namungona, that is along Hoima Road. This person contested the amount that the Chief Government Valuer had approved, and it was in the range of 96 million Uganda shillings. It was just a small portion of this person's land that was affected, but of course, like I said, the expectations were so high, so they expected a lot of money. So because of that, we got a time lag of about 6 months, and the contractor charged us for the last 4 months of the 6 months on a daily basis 150 million Uganda shillings. So that is how costly this contestation can reach.
I'll give you 2 quick examples. I don't know, for people who live anywhere you live in this town, you'll find road projects that have been done 90%, and there's a stretch of 50 meters that hasn't been fixed. It's a cost to the people who live on that land. It's a cost to government because you have to keep a contractor on, and they can't complete the project. I'll give you two examples. I think there's a road down near Chigowa, in Tinda. There's a road, there's a stretch that is not tarmacked. The rest of it is done. That portion is not tarmacked. There's a road, a ring road that runs around Chanja, around Kensington, runs around Chanja. There's a portion that is not worked on. And the question is, if you're government, how do you deal with those situations? And you have negotiated or compensated 200 other landowners around that section. There's one landowner who says, we can't have a discussion. And it takes 2-3 years before you can fix that. How do you fix if you're in a situation like that?
In Chambogo, Eastern Kampala, a stand of overvaluation of 1/4 of an acre of land has brought a sewer project to a standstill. The delay is causing a loss of 100 million shillings a day to government in contract claims. This section of Chigowantinda Road was left undone because of contestation on compensation with the landowner.
Obuzibu buli wati omukala omukadde abeera wano wansi wano ono omukadde abadde ayagala bamusasuleko kubanga eno ettaka yayita ku ttaka lye waggulu wawe ne wano wansi wawe ne wenyini ekkubo weeri wenyini wawe naye baagana omuwa ku ssente kati kyova olaba tuli mu mbeera eno tebamaliriza wano kati batusaba bamusasule batukole ekkubo.
Kati, what is the way forward? Nazimba ntya yate bomunaba mu food official ekyapa kijja kuba kisali same bomuna ngana ku developing side y'ekyengo kubanga yo yeveera mu katono
bananyini mataka bangi bawayo amataka gawe nga bagala enkulakulana ku kyalo naye ono maama waffe ye yagaana ye ng'agamba wano tewali ekkubo eri wansi eri ng'eriyo ekulosinga side kuli kanso nejja oba nga gavumenti nejja neyagala ekyuse ekyapa kye wagamba nti wali ekkubo battewo bakwate ekyapa bakize eri omama yagaana.
We have a number of projects that have been delayed and it is on record. For example, we have the Kampala Northern Bypass, the road that stretches all the way from Busega through Sentema, through Namugongo, Kalere, Chebando, Ntinda, all the way up to Boyogerere. That project has a length of approximately 27 kilometers. However, we all know that it has faced some delays, and mainly these delays have been due to the challenges in acquiring land. And in many cases, this has led to review of the designs, where we get several design reviews because people have denied us access to their properties.
In Tororo, eastern Uganda, progress on the standard gauge railway has slowed down because of compensation cases in Mbale High Court. Besides stalling several projects, speculators are now emboldened to hold government at ransom.
The speculator is one who has bought the land with the foreknowledge that compulsory acquisition will soon be on the agenda and the expectation of making a handsome profit. My suggestion is that speculators need to be penalized rather than rewarded. Should I conclude the rest are speculators?
It is the role of government to stimulate development in a country, and providing a solid backbone in the form of infrastructure is one way of doing this. Government's proposed amendments to the Land Acquisition Act 1965 aim to solve the deadlock of delays, incomplete projects, and hyperinflated land rates. Government is now seeking for input to the draft bill from various stakeholders before tabling it in Parliament.
LandNet is working with the Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Energy, and Ministry of Works and Transport to organize a national dialogue on land acquisition, particularly focusing on compulsory land acquisition. The reason for that is that there's been a polarized state of being in Uganda over, is it all right for the state to change the legal framework regarding how land acquisition should work?
What is at stake? On the one hand, the government of Uganda is under pressure to speed up the infrastructural development as laid out in Vision 2040. Who would not remember with pain the seemingly endless years it took to complete the Entebbe Expressway? And who would not be frustrated trying to travel, and I say trying to travel, on the Northern Bypass on a Friday afternoon? Ladies and gentlemen, we all agree that there is a need to accelerate compulsory land acquisition procedures to secure the land for such essential projects. For this reason, the government proposes a mechanism according to which, in case of an unagreed compensation amount for the land, the infrastructure development isn't stalled and retarded, seemingly without end, but can continue while the dispute is being solved in court.
We want to introduce a tribunal. The tribunal, which will be appointed in the proposal with the terms of reference, will be the first mechanism of handling dispute where a land owner as contestation over the amount valued by the chief government valuer, they will be required to register and lodge their complaint with the tribunal. Under the proposal, the tribunal is expected to consider the dispute within 30 days. If a landowner is not satisfied with the tribunal's decision, then we have proposed that the High Court, which shall be the final court of appeal, will then make a consideration of the appeal by the landowner, and the appeal consideration shall take 45 days.
So this tribunal is specialized in the sense that it stems from its composition. It will have a chair and a vice chair, who are persons qualified to be judges of the High Court. Then it will have 3 other members appointed by the President upon approval of Parliament.
I think putting in place such a tribunal would be very helpful, especially to the ordinary person. If you've followed what happens in courts, there is a lot of bureaucracy and there is a lot of procedure required, including having to get a lawyer, which is a costly venture, having to present your case in a certain way, and having to follow certain decorum. You don't. That sometimes makes ordinary Ugandans feel court is not their space.
The other changes to the Act include the introduction of prompt payment of fair and adequate compensation prior to taking possession of land.
The current Act under Section 7 currently say that possession would be taken upon declaration by the Minister. But the bill this time around is saying the government shall take possession of the land immediately after payment of compensation, which has to be in accordance with the Act.
The draft bill also addresses the resettlement or reallocation of project-affected people, an issue that was not covered in the 1965 Land Acquisition Act.
As I mentioned at the start, I work mainly in the oil, gas, and mining communities. And as you know, there's a lot of land acquisition going on. And so I see people that are affected. I have my colleague here who is a project person, affected person, a PAP. His land was taken and they're going to build a refinery, but he got another piece of land. But he doesn't have a title for his piece of land 2 years down the road.
Kyakaboga settlement is found in Busheru-Kasap County, Hoima District. Here, you find people that chose resettlement over cash compensation. They departed in Kabale Parish to make space for the oil refinery and airport. And while they have a roof over their heads, none of them feels secure.
Akira kwa nyona nshita munko mchera kwandi hirembo na isemirundi ebiri ndabana basavya bayija bali kupima echo kimwe nababuza bati kimwe basebo kumija murapimita kagetu nenshi nti murenda kutwaka ngwenga mcharo tatina nababuza tuchali cha proni kuli abantu bakija nabana bali kupimita kagetu hanyuma ubwira bushe twabona batu
ukunayijira hano kija bara bukamfurura abasirikare nibo bansirwiye bandeta hano bagamba ko baraza kutombekera amaju marungi amaju bagombekire konka amaju bakabagambe baragombeka mu kibanje cyetu twati magiti bagatekamo amaju ago batombekere tigine cyapa itakeri batohereze tigine cyapa.
When this project came, my father cut me a portion of my piece of land, which is 3 acres, which I gave it to the government. Now, what I'm now, my big worry is on the title, because when we have no title here, this area is not mine. That is my first worry. How can you sell it? Because you don't have any document who shows that this land is belong to me or to somebody else. You cannot sell it.
Saddam Tekako is the local council chairman of Kyakaboga settlement. he says the land title on which these houses sit and on which the farmland is registered under the Ministry of Energy. And so the question is, who owns this property? Is it the Ministry of Energy or is it the project-affected people?
Give them their land title. They owned their land, whether communally or they had inherited it. They may not have had a title, but they were secure. They knew that this was their land. So they need to know that this is their land for them to be able to make meaningful investments on those pieces of land.
When resettling project-affected people, the principle that is followed is that the quality of their life must be the same as that before resettlement, if not better. The project-affected people in Kyakaboga settlement say it is not the case.
Kizibu kindi kwetu katuna irwaro hayi baidu hani kituna irwaro nyoye mlingo kondoa nyoye Grace bure bo nyina mwana wa mwezi mukaga nyinawe hati bure bo nkabe nenda abo irwaro tayiro hano nya kwata kurumwa ningena kuzara nya kwa muhani ngo ngena irwaro nyazara muhanda ukunyategeza mbanyi nyazara muhanda Musa yakoraki yajua muno musajja wange yafuna pikipiki atoza pikipiki nibo yampimba nyina kerembe Musa iwe ne jua oti yatwaranka abom ko nibo mukondora akiri hano ko kusinga baye irwarero hano hai nibaye ebe byo baye koraki kibi kuba
embera zona zazo zatumigiriza zatushobera no buturaho mpaho tibakabasa kukiza ngo ozenka mbeka kaje okoro business tibarenda barakujya wakatoka ko akachenga kari kumwarebi nako tibarakendaho atwatani ko twayibuza government edimpaha yakatishuro bwabo bwire burenga.
The project-affected people are also not pleased that they were removed from a rural setting where they lived relatively apart in homesteads surrounded by gardens. Now they find themselves headed together in what they describe as a camp.
Kandi ekyobusaasi kitwine mezi bakaba na kutuha mezi getapu batugambire ngo baratuhereza enankeji etanka ye kilo ya mezi ya kilo 10 hati batuhereza etanka ye kilo zingahe atanu nabwo eco kirasasa nyowe amezi gahwa tinyine ukuni ikindariye tinyine uko kundakole ndi habusasa hanu tugambe karatulinezi umure kureba ko baraza kwija nko burwere baraza kubwije ngati kakorere yikire hano titwi nawo turajibukira turaza kurwara twene.
The other thing that I think I have seen is the delay. The delay. One, I think it's about the planning of land acquisition. So for the Buseruka, the oil pipeline, the oil refinery project, government contacted people in around 2010. The cutoff date was 2012. So by cut-off date, you cannot make any meaningful development on the land. People who received cash, who had opted for cash, most of them, got the cash around 2013. People who opted for houses went into their houses in 2015. Those who challenged the process, who felt that the system was not fair, are still in court up to now. They are still in court up to now. And you can imagine, 2010, 2012, 2013, now 2019, and they don't know when that court is going to determine their case.
Amazina nye tugaruka ya Beni, umutaka wa Chapuroni, au refinery oil heri, au wenda kuteri refinery oil, netisha chenyonyi. Au nchi ndege tabaso ya ndo mutaka wa Chapuroni, no batushanje bakatufurura kujwa tugaruke Kyakaboga. Batatu ibintu yete bitwa tulenda. kanywa bin kanyine enju cha puroni kumfura abana ndeta chakaboga bandeta tibampaki tibampenju kuza kubabuza bakangamba ngo kamera niyo yanagire ki kamera yabo niyo yanagire enju yanje nabagambira kamera yaje nagire enju yanje bagaruka bagikwata bakagaruka kurunja guteka wikire ushaba ngo tani Francis yagitere bishwani yabitwara kwara bitwara na hati takagaruka gahanyuma gagaruka mu ndijo musheje bareta ukema.
It is essential that resettlement activities are planned and implemented with appropriate disclosure of information, meaningful consultation, and participation of those affected. And lastly, it's important that we put in place grievance redress mechanisms and that these are functioning and accessible.
To the east of Hoima is another project presenting similar challenges to project-affected people. It is the Karuma project. One of the offspring of this project is the multi-story building, the Karuma Mat, found along Gulu Highway in Karuma town. Small shops of local traders once stood where it stands. The shops and homes were razed to the ground to make room for this building. Though the traders were compensated, not all were happy with the manner of eviction nor the valuation of their property.
They are the one who told us that when you get a small money, they will give you 6 months before you leave the place. If you got a big money, it is 3 months given. But mine was not there. And the money was small, 40 million. Not time. I tell you, I got money on a Monday. When we come back, we stay only 1 week. The grader comes. Even my LC1 is a witness. I ran to him. He's the one who stopped the grader. Then we remain with 1 week when we keep on uprooting the houses.
Haida says that the 40 million shillings she received as compensation was not enough. This is because the Karuma project inflated the value of the land so much so that she could no longer establish a similar business on the highway.
This place is, as you see, if you put a business, who will come and buy? Now it is like I'm in the village and I'm now vulnerable. Who will feed me? The way I was feeding my children, I don't have my husband.
With a drop in income, Haida now finds it difficult to sustain her family. She now lives in this makeshift plywood structure as a home to make ends meet. Benjamin Mugenyi is another project-affected person.
Government did not compensate me fully in the project, and I had to take the government to court for not having compensated me of my land which the project took. And the compensation was not done.
According to Benjamin, in 2013, government took over his land to construct labor camps for Karuma Hydro project workers. His piece of land covered 2 3/4 acres.
I expected to be paid in 2015, which didn't happen because I presented the title to them and I told them, now my title is here, can you not give me my money since the land is already occupied? Then they said, okay, we shall get back to you. So I waited whole year through, nothing happened. Then in 2017, I had to sell another portion of land to hire a lawyer to help me follow up the case. So from that time, that's when I had to sue government through my lawyers, and we have been moving to court, and nothing up to now is promising.
Despite the disappointments, Benjamin continues to pursue his case. He has been to the Hoima High Court on 4 occasions this year. His case has been adjourned on each occasion.
Given the amount of time courts usually take to decide on land disputes, this may leave people uncompensated for many years. I do not need to elaborate the consequences for poor households depending on the land in question. We are all engaged in alleviating poverty and despair instead of letting it increase.
The proposed bill is yet to be tabled in Parliament. For now, government continues to collect input from various stakeholders. Several contributions were made during the dialogue on compulsory land acquisition organized by LandNet.
What is being provided for those people who have already fallen victim of this compulsory land acquisition. Specifically, I'll give you examples of people in the, Western Uganda, Southwestern Uganda, ethnic minorities whose property has already been taken. They've already confiscated this property. They haven't been compensated. Is this law going to look into those issues? And what is being provided for regarding their compensation?
I propose that the key terms used in the bills be properly defined. The term public use should be properly defined and be clear, not mixed with the term public interest.
We say 4 things, 4 padlocks we put there in 26, Article 26. 1, it must be for public use, not public interest. Public use, the public is going to use this infrastructure. It should be for public morality, public safety, public health. These are things we can see, we can define the purpose for which you want to acquire land, but not for private sector. You take land from the private person and give it to private so-and-so to make money and get richer and so forth. It must be for public use. Is that the problem? What is the problem here?
What we are proposing as a tribunal here is just a piecemeal of the bigger picture. We should be thinking, how can we put in, say, NDP3, a comprehensive system of dispute resolution mechanism? Because I can tell you as a lawyer that the proceedings in the tribunal can easily be infected and affected by proceedings in other tribunals and vice versa.
Among the documented recommendations from the dialogue are:
compose the National Working Group for the drafting of the Land Acquisition Bill. Co-opt the process of drafting the National Valuation Bill into the drafting of the Land Acquisition Bill. Initiate multi-stakeholder engagements through the Land Acquisition Colloquia. Engage the academia through Makerere Institute for Social Research. Undertake public hearings on the 2 bills. Influence policymakers on the need for a good law on compulsory land acquisition. To share your thoughts on the proposed land acquisition bill, send your comments to our Twitter handle @LandNetUG, on Facebook, LandNet Uganda, or you can send an email to info@landnet.ug, or you can contact us on 0414 666 703.